for Playday 3, where apparently all the action has been taking place today for Oceanic Nationals. We've still got 2 more matches coming up tonight to be played out. What a barnstorm of a match, though, that we just finished up over in Coastline. Wildcard 8-6 over Rhythm, who really pushed them all the way to the end. But in the end, guys, Wildcard, they did come through, holding strong, taking out the win. We move on to what is going to be our next matchup, though, between Noble and LFO. And there's a bit of discussion around this matchup because, especially between myself and yourself, we both have a bit of a disagreement here. Now, I think Noble, for the remainder of the season, is not going to drop a map after what was a very big win last week. You think at some point they will. You don't know who's going to do it.
Yeah, I still stand by that statement. I don't think that Noble will have a flawless run throughout the remainder of this season. I also don't think that they're going to lose to LFO this evening, but I mean, if the last map is any indication, any team can really struggle against some of these smaller ones.
Let's go and have a look at the lineup for Noble. Miloska, Fisho, Guy, the MVP of week 1, Nico, Derpe, and President. I mean, that's a very, very strong lineup. Not missing Vince at all. Don't worry about Vinny, even though he's doing very good things over on Wildcard. They're looking strong and they're looking good. And if I end up correct by the end of the season, guys, that means they would take first place.
Indeed it would, but I don't think they will. Again, it's a great roster. I think the one thing as well to highlight here is President. Came into this roster, only played a couple of officials, has been performing decently, didn't go that well stats-wise at least against Wildcard. In fact, I believe he was the lowest rated player for Noble, but it's not always the numbers that count. It's always difficult to know what he's doing behind the scenes and the fact that he's often playing a flank watcher anyway. So keen to see what he can bring to the table tonight, and hopefully he can continue his run of form as well.
Let's go have a look at the LFO lineup. Of course, still looking for an org. Pretty simple. Aglo, Sogs, Hills, Nate, Mims, and the wonderful, everyone's favorite coach, Enigma. What do we make of LFO moving forward? Because we started off the season, you know, you had the likes of Ducky who backed them in. Now he's off the LFO bandwagon. He didn't vote for them here in this matchup. Are they bottom 2 credentials? This is the thing. Someone has to be bottom 2. And you look at the way that Rhythm has been playing. Elevate no longer look like a bottom 2 team. Like, there's not many teams. Ferox found a win last week, guys. Where is LFO going to find a win? If they don't beat Noble here, they're 0-3. They're bottom 2. It's not looking good.
100%. We've talked about trajectories a lot in this season, and coming into OC and LFO were on the up, but for whatever reason, something just hasn't quite clicked. Something has gone wrong during that off-season, and they've started off here quite poorly. I think one thing as well to remember is that Nate has recently joined this roster, and he's found it a little bit rough transitioning in, as you would. We're not expecting him to be some massive player or addition to this roster necessarily, but hopefully he can start to slot into his role a little bit nicely, and maybe the rest of the team can start moving along as well. As you mentioned, if they don't win tonight, they are seriously at risk of making the relegations. It's important to remember just how compact this season is. So this is a massive match for them. If they don't win here, they basically need a flawless rest of the season.
I will set the precedence, though, that for LFO, after tonight, their run home certainly is a lot easier. They've already played Wildcard. They've already played Pittsburgh. Now they're playing Noble. Says it. Right, the teams remaining for the rest of the season for Oceanic Nationals not going to quite be the caliber of those 3 teams. So LFO will have a decent run home, but they are obviously then going to be leaving things to the last minute, and that could just play mental mind games for them. The map predictions, though, I think we're going Cafe. That's just my complete guess. I promise you, I don't actually know where we're going. What are your thoughts here, guys, for the map vetoes?
I mean, it's funny you said Cafe. Of the 4 maps these 2 teams have played, 3 of them, in fact, have been Cafe. So that is over 50%, 75% of course of the maps that have been played there. Do I necessarily think that we're going to head there though? That's the big question mark, because LFO have lost it 1-7 to the Knights and 4-7 to Wildcard. And on the flip side, Noble, in their one occasion of playing this map, took down Wildcard themselves 8-7. So I'm very, very much doubting that LFO will let it slip through the veto. But if we do, surely Noble take it, right, on Cafe, you would think.
Yeah, that would probably be my assumption as well if we do head over to Cafe, which the First ban out is actually Cafe. So all that talk about Cafe is for Nor. I still haven't seen Oregon get banned out. Oh, guess where we're going, cuz? It's here. It's arrived.
Oh my. Oh, it's an amazing feeling, isn't it? I mean, this is going to be the first official played in Oceanic Nationals on this map, which is pretty big news. We have seen it played in this region before in the major. That was between Wildcard and the Knights. But outside of that, as I mentioned, we haven't seen it at all. So lots of questions to be answered heading into this one. Have Noble done the right prep? Have LFO done sufficient prep? We just don't know.
Well, I can tell you right now, I've never ever casted this map, so I don't know. Have I done the right
prep?
Have
you done your prep?
Have I done the right prep as well? Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? And probably something that LFO would have needed for this to happen, I think, to take Noble to a map that they maybe haven't quite sussed out compared to the other ones. Of course, I mean, Noble themselves, they banned out Coastline, Villa, Theme Park. And so for LFO, they kind of banned out the holy trinities, I guess, if you will, Cafe, Clubhouse, Consulate, the more common maps that we do see. So it was pretty evident, I guess, from that LFO wanted to at least leave it up to, I mean, even Theme Park as well. We don't see Theme Park that often. So for Noble, they didn't have much of a pick here. May as well then to head to Oregon, where maybe you guys don't know it that well, but you definitely think LFO probably don't know it that well either.
Yeah, I get the impression that both teams will probably be pretty happy heading over to Oregon. I can't help but feel that maybe LFO are under the impression that they've finessed Noble potentially here, but it could also work both ways because Noble, as you mentioned, had that final ban. They could have headed us to Theme Park, which we have seen both these teams play before previously. Mixed results for both teams there, so I don't know. I'm very, very intrigued to see if Noble are actually strong here in Oregon because it was ultimately them that headed us here.
I'm very intrigued as well with the snowball predictions and see if anyone has gone the way of LFO. And as I alluded to earlier, Ducky has got off the LFO bandwagon. He is looking for a way back to the top of the standings, and this is the right way, choosing Noble. I'm going to go out on a limb again here. I did do my little mustache bet. I'm more than happy to keep doing that here tonight in this next matchup because I'm that confident that Noble is going to win this. We're going to end up on a second Twitter video. For those who haven't seen it, Elevate did give us a right spray, which was a great little video.
Yep, we deserved it.
Loved that.
100%.
Yep. We put our hands up. We were wrong.
Yep.
But
I mean, we're not actually experts.
Wrong,
we're just called experts. It doesn't mean we actually are. It's just a word. It doesn't actually.
Well, I think they took out experts from what I can see down below. I think it just says predictions now. Yeah. So
yeah, it makes sense.
They've fixed that issue in patch 1.1, so don't worry. That's been taken care of. And for next season, I'm sure we'll clean out the guys who, we should have like snowball.
We should have relegations in the predictions. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I bet. But then Ducky wouldn't be in it, so it kind of would defeat the whole purpose, right?
Enough of our nonsense, though. Let's get into this matchup between Noble and LFO. We head to Oregon for the first time of the Oceanic Nationals.
Whew. I'm keen to see this map. We've seen this map played in a variety of the other regions, APAC North, EU, NA, LATAM. They've all had a go at this map. But here in OCE, outside of the major, we're yet to see it played in the Nationals. So, I mean, heading into this ban phase, I honestly could not tell you with any confidence what we're expecting. I would assume a hard breach and maybe a Thatch. One of those ticked off. What will the second be? Thatcher, yeah. So Thatcher is an insta-ban in basically every single official for Noble. So not any surprises in that regard.
I mean, I still think at some point we're going to see less Thatcher bans. You would hope so, at least. Otherwise, how many times can you nerf Thatcher before it's almost just going to be unusable? Maverick, not a surprise ban either. I think that's actually the second time we're seeing Kaid banned out as well in a row. And we're going to see Malusi banned out, which, if I'm correct, I think that's for the first time for OCN, unless there was one I missed.
I think there has been one in OCN. I wouldn't be able to tell you which game it was. I could very quickly have a look.
LFO Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I thought it was an LFO game. Yeah, it was. But that was also 1-7. So, who knows?
Well, I mean, the scoreline doesn't matter, does it?
I mean, a Malusi ban on any map is obviously going to be good. Those Banshees are bulletproof, so they need soft breach to clear, and soft breach is limited to the attack. So anything you can do to try and limit that is going to be helpful. And I mean, LFO are sitting on the defense, so they must be comfortable with that ban. You would hope, as we are going to basement, which I expected to probably be the favored side.
I think, is it fair to say there should be all eyes on Fisher Guy here, not just tonight, but also on Friday as well? What is it, crowned the Snowball MVP of Week 1 after what was a ridiculous second Playday of Week 1. Community vote, 60% in favor of Noble, 40% for LFO. Probably
the Enigma bots again. It's the Enigma bots.
It pays out a lot of people. By taking away the money he paid to Ducky, he's been able to increase the community poll votes. So smart play from Enigma. But as I was saying, Fisher Guy, definitely the one to watch. I think Nico as well, another one to keep an eye on here. They've both just been sensational in their first 2 matches for OCN.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Of course, delving into this setup, LFO haven't been afraid to dabble in some, let's say, unorthodox setups on some of the other maps, like Theme Park, for example. Some of these newer maps where they're inventing some new ideas, and it looks like on this occasion, LFO are bringing that castle to facilitate quite an aggressive roam above, extending that to meeting as well. And it's up to Noble to try and shut this down. They've gathered control quite quickly already over towards the western side of the map, down near Small Tower and Dining. Nico and Milo heading that at the moment, and it looks like Nico droning as well. So there's currently at least 3 drones on the map, and they should be pretty aware of this setup, Noble. It's really just a question of how they try and pick it apart.
And Angmo finds something before dropping down the hatch. Nate roaming around on that second floor. Has to be careful. Molosca, Derpe both close by, can easily overwhelm him. And whoop, there's also just that. He can just get picked apart. Derpe with the opening frag onto Nate. Unfortunately, probably, I like the idea of having the roamer upstairs, but it's caught very early into the round. Minute 45 seconds. Noble already setting up nicely here, and we got so much time remaining in the round.
And the one thing that Noble have really improved upon in recent times is their ability to clear these roamers quite quickly and quite efficiently without losing lives and losing too many drones. So if LFO do want to commit to these roams, they probably need to be safer roams like Angmo was, for example, inside of security. Have at least a bit of utility backing yourself and an ability to rotate out. Solo roaming against Noble, particularly on the top floor on this map, probably not going to find much success. And I mean, especially after this first round, Noble will be fully aware that LFO are willing to actually bring that to the table.
But if you're committing to the vigil, you're probably then going to commit to a more harder roam. So you can't blame Nate for being caught there. It's just the nature of that position. If you're playing the roamer position, sometimes you're just going to get caught by an unexpected angle. Could be saying different things had he been able to get Molosca. Could have easily been LFO with a lead. But I do agree with you there. If you are going to play aggressive position, at least have a way back out. Noble, though, 40 seconds remaining. They're being quite thorough here. Mims just below hatched in laundry. Has to watch the stairs as well and is well primed for it. Good headshot onto Nico. Does even us all up now. 4 versus 4. Took a bit of damage, but was able to rotate back over to the site. 25 seconds remaining. Angmo gets a second. Nice turnaround from LFO here.
Looks like it's going to be a full push down the main stairs in towards laundry. This is high risk for Noble, and it doesn't look like it's paying off. It's now Derpe and Prez to try and stick a plant. Smokes go out as coverage, but they need to get a little bit deeper in here to be any chance. And as Prez tries to initiate that, gets taken out. Angmo with 2. Clean round there from LFO. A great recovery after losing Nate early.
Angmo just playing those angles so well. And as you said, lost Nate early as well. It's a really good sign for LFO that even if a player down, they had good positions. Really good start for LFO on the defense here of Oregon. A bit surprised too, because I thought Noble had so much time on the clock. It was like, what, minute 45 once they'd taken care of Nate. And by that point, already had a decent position. Unfortunately, just unable to capitalize. Tough to push down into the basement. We had second floor now for the second round.
Second floor, of course, being the Dorm's objective, and so far it's the objectives that we would expect here on Oregon. The meta that has developed is typically we would see below and second floor in at least the first 2 picks. This site, of course, playing out quite differently to how basement does. Expect to see quite a presence over towards the attic and some rotates in towards kids to fall back on. Probably not going to see as much of a heavy roam as well here from LFO like we did in the previous round, especially considering its success. That said, the reinforcement down below there in rear stage might provide an opportunity to roam around inside of meetings, so we'll have to wait and see how they try and play off that.
Out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
I was just keeping an eye on what Nate wanted to sort of select for this round. Less roam heavy, gonna go with the smoke rather than the vigil play. You just wonder if the vigil will come back out later, or not necessarily the vigil, but even just sort of that aggressive roam. Nate couldn't be closer to the bomb now. I don't mind it though. I know he died in that first round, but I don't mind to see that. And there's been the discussion around Nate and his impact so far for LFO, but I like to see that. More than happy to play those aggressive sort of play styles, and risk versus reward is always sort of the mantra. Nico just watching from dining. Just seeing whether or not someone wants to peek their head through there and get it ripped off. 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
I have no doubt as well that Nate is a solid player. I think it's just going to take him a little bit of time to find the confidence and find his feet here in the official setting. He hasn't played at this highest of levels in Oceania before. I'm sure once he slots in a little bit better and feels a bit more comfortable, maybe when LFO start to get some results on the board, he'll start to shine a little bit more. So I'm really hoping that he does perform quite well here on this map and shows us what he's actually capable of.
Yeah, and it seems like for a lot of the debutants for OCN, some of them have had rough starts, but then have been able to have a couple of good games. You know, we saw Hotshot tonight who just balled out after probably similar to Nate in the first week, leaving a bit to be desired, but goes to show you that it's not all said and done in just week one. Fisher Guy, the MVP, will be eliminated by Mims. And it's going to be, this time around, LFO with the opening frag and the advantage 5-4 compared to the first round, whereas Noble, who were able to get Nate early. Nate very low, actually. In fact, now even just down. Just not sure exactly how that transpired. President will get the frag, and Derpy finds a second, 4-3. Quickly, how things can change. 50 seconds remaining in the round. President still just looking inwards. 3 versus 2 now with Hills over at the corridor. Oh, so close to getting a second one there as well. 35 seconds remaining.
Noble do have President on the Nomad. They should be able to cut off the rotation from Hills using those air jabs. If they use effectively, surely they can convert this round now. Derpy just needs to get a clean entry in towards the site, and he does. Hills force now likely to push up the white stairs. The vert is there, and Noble get one back.
Oof. Well, is this going to be another big matchup potentially on our cards? 1-1. It's the way all of our games have started tonight for Playday 3. It seems as if LFO are going to try Dorms again. I think it's a bad choice. I mean, they found the opening frag. They weren't looking horrible, but just somewhere along the lines, simply put, Noble was just able to get 2 quick frags in very quick succession. Turns the tide immediately at that point. With like 30 seconds left, you're kind of left scrambling towards the back end of that round at the pointy end of the round too. 1-1. And so far as well for President, another one, you know, we touched on Nate and his performance, I guess, in week 1. President's another one that I'd probably say President, Nate, Hotshot were the 3 debutants that weren't quite as impressive in week 1, and so far Hotshot and President really, really good here in Playday 3.
LFO again opting to head to Dorms, the second floor bomb site. So far not seeing any massive changes in terms of the way that they approached the site last time, so there might be a difference in terms of how they approach it in the mid-round.
Attacker's objective is to locate
Maybe a little bit more cautious on side of the verticality below, and that's going to be critical in this matchup. The likes of Nico playing the sledge will be massive in terms of being able to open up a lot of these angles, and especially when you're defending the top floor. Nade from below. And I guess that might be why Hills and Slugs are both playing below, trying to deny that early entry. We have seen Noble quickly gather control of this small tower side of the map. So having some players here to try and deny that probably is a really good decision. Or not. Oh my.
Oscar just takes out Hills. It's hard to get a read on this though so far from both teams. Only 2 rounds in, 3rd round now. Both teams have been able to have strong starts, sloppy finishes. Sogs though just catches Nico. The nade though catches the return. They end up just trading out 1 for 1. Perfectly timed nade from Nico. It just keeps the advantage as well on the side of Noble here with a minute 50. 4 versus 3.
Plenty of time for Noble to work with. President as well, again with 3 air jabs in place. So he's going to place those around the first floor, it appears. And that does cut off any future opportunities for LFO to flank up. Noble now have a lot of confidence when going for this execute. Fisher guy as well, popping off there onto Angmo. So it's Nate and Mims now to step up. Try and bring this one back, but it's going to be so challenging with Noble trying to swarm all of these various angles around the site.
Mims just gonna have to try and hold out in kids for as long as possible. Nate will join Mims there, and it's just a matter of just turtle for the rest of the round and hope that Noble end up throwing essentially. Maybe rush onto the site. Catch one peeking through the window potentially for Mims' sake. Get one here. 2 versus 3, not impossible. 43 seconds remaining though, and to the credit of Noble, considering the circumstance here in this 3rd round, they are still just playing this structured approach, methodical, not rushing, making sure they're clearing everything out. They've got time. Whether you plan it with 1 second remaining or 30 seconds doesn't make a difference. It just keeps Mims and Nate guessing as they get the plant down through Derpe now.
C4 ripped. Doesn't hit the mark. In fact, it does no damage at all to Noble. Very challenging round now to retake. It's Nate left in the 3-on-1. In fact, it was a trade for Mims. A nice shot from him, but it's a constellation at this point. The shield working against Nate. If he vaults that, he'll be dead. So he'll be forced now to rotate towards the doorway, which is also being held. Fisho closes that one out, and it's another clean round from Noble.
Just the power of that angle that Fisher guy is holding as well. As you said, you vault that, you're going to be in the sight line, you run around, you're still going to be in the sight line. How much stock do we sort of put into what we're seeing right now from the attack of Noble versus the defense of LFO, who of course won the first round in the basement, which is where we're now going to head for the 4th round. They can tie it up 2-2 here with another laundry supply win. But I've just got that gut feeling, guys. Just that gut feeling that Noble have picked up the pace here in the last 2 rounds, especially, just looking a lot better than that opening round. They win this, make it 3-1, and it's not going to spell good news for LFO.
Yeah, I feel the same. Noble have had, both historically and even more recently against the likes of Ferox, some slower starts. I think the scoreline, in fact, may have been like 1-2 or 1-3 against Noble, against Ferox in that match. That, of course, they did end up winning. So it's a really positive sign to see that they're 2-1 up now. And the 2 wins themselves have been incredibly convincing. I think that last round, the only thing I could really critique maybe about that attack was they left it quite late and it looked a little bit dicey, but the use of the smoke grenades and other utility to facilitate the plant, make it really difficult to deny, was great from Noble. And then they had the post-plant positions as well, really, to cover that. So it seems like they're being methodical. They're not rushing into anything, and they're playing confidently, which is worrying for LFO, but still very early days. Still an opportunity for them to really pull off this sort of extreme roam that they're trying to execute at the moment.
Yeah, Vigil again for Nate, which is what I was curious to see, especially on basement. If you'd pull out the Vigil once again, and that is the case. See how Nate wants to play it this time. Angmo, same position as last time that we played Laundry Supply. Nate has just changed it up slightly, sitting more so in trophy.
Could be droned out though, Molosca. Being very, very vigilant of the vigil.
Like it.
Trying to spot him out. I mean, I really hope for Nate's sake that he can try and find a pick here. He's going 0-3. He's had limited impact, but look, surely he's just going to be shut down here again. This is going to hurt Nate hard if he is cut off here, and it looks like Noble are ready and raring to go.
He wants to peek that hatch so badly.
If he does, he dies. If he does, he's dead.
Yeah, 100%. Derbe just watching from... Oh, he's definitely going to peek this, and he's going to get his head ripped off. I'm just like holding my breath right now for him, and he doesn't even realize. Just back away. Just run.
Oh, Nico!
What? Oh, no, not like
such
this.
a Nico play. Oh, my word. Poor Nate. Good night, brother. Oh, my word.
I feel bad for Nate.
Look, in all seriousness, he wasted a lot of time. There's only a minute left now on the board for Noble, so they spent 2 minutes hunting down that vigil. We saw them struggle last time, pushing down the main stairs, and they could well find themselves in a very similar situation here if they aren't quick.
Yeah, it's a really good point you brought up, because they did get Nate in that opening round as well. Still went on to lose it. Angmo was a big part of that and has found the early frag on the Fisher guy towards the execution phase of this round 4. Basement push, 4 versus 3. Still in the favor of Noble, but this is where it fell apart last time around. Pushing into Laundry, they did start to lose a couple of players with relative ease as well, might I add, to Angmo in particular. Molosca just pushing in through Freezer now, has still one to contend with in front. 9 bullets as well in this R4C. Has to be pretty much precise with the first few shots. Does get shut down. President, though, will get Angmo. No more Angmo play in basement this time around, but still LFO win the round. It's almost like a repeat of the opening round, guys.
Yeah, we ragged on Nate a little bit for being taken down with what we thought was ease, but the immediate...
We didn't rag on him.
I'm just making sure people don't think we're like anti-Nate. You know, some
We
people...
love Nate.
Yeah, I love Nate. He's actually super nice. I played a community cup, I think they're called now, the old Go 4 with him once. It's pretty fun. He was a hard carry. Anyway, the point I was going to make is that immediately once he was taken out, my eyes were drawn to the timer. There was only a minute to go, and Noble set themselves up for almost an identical execute to what they achieved and failed actually on in their last attempt. So maybe if they're going to attack that side again, which I don't think they will, of course, because there's only 2 rounds left, maybe a bit more pressure towards blue, towards the main stairs, a tower, try and pressure an alternate angle.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
I'm gonna say Angmo. It almost sounded like I said Angmo.
You almost got it off there.
Yeah. So look, that's just something for the drawing board for Noble to take into account if they go back to this map later in the season.
But is it too much of a reliance, I guess, on the basement for LFO? This is, yeah, and this is where we'll find out, really, I guess, in these next 2 rounds coming up for Noble.
I'm liking the Twitch pick here from Molosca. Twitch is an operator that is definitely not very popular in the current meta, but is quite effective in taking out some specific utility if you can be quite stealthy in how you actually use that shock drone. So keen to see how Molosca uses the drone. On top of that as well, you have the F2 as your primary, a very, very strong weapon at that if you can control the recoil. So at close range, Molosca will be quite deadly, and again, with that Thatcher being taken off the board, another avenue to take out utility.
Hello, Mims. Gonna take on the role of Vigil. Although, to be fair, Nate was on smoke the last time we were on Dorm, so it's not as if Nate has been relegated away from Vigil. Nate basically playing the same role as he was for Dorms last time around. I don't know if Mims was on Vigil, though, last time they played Dorms. I don't believe so. Does seem like they've changed up their approach slightly.
Clean utility clear from Noble and clean opening of the wall in towards Dorms. Molosca now can send out that shock drone, scout ahead, and try and shoot out any additional utility. There's a Mozzie pest that he needs to be careful of. And in fact, it's actually Angmo here on the Evil Eye, able to take down that shock drone if Molosca gets a little bit too greedy with it. So this is a really interesting sort of mini game that is playing out at the moment. Who's going to be braver with their utility?
Well, the problem is the last mini game that played out, Noble basically versus Nate, it took so much time off the clock. Could this be the case again here? So I think this works out well for LFO if there's too much time invested by Noble. Minute 18 seconds remaining, so there's still enough time remaining in the round.
There's plenty of positions that need to be cleared. There's been some nice control established from this eastern side of the map as Molosca gets the opening pick. That could really start to head the attack. If Milo gets control of Dorms, that's going to be very difficult for LFO to shut down the attack coming across from Master Bedroom.
And we're just taking a bit of damage there as well. Tepe still just watching from Master Bedroom. Look to slowly push in. Almost not going to move from here. You would think 35 seconds left.
Oh, that
Whoa.
is not very good. Fisho there onto Nico, leaves it in a 4-on-4, and Angmo still so close range with the bullet hose. The older LFO playing patiently. Noble not as patient as they push quite deep now in towards Kids, trying to find these kills, but it's fragged out very nicely there from Mims. Hiding in the corner, gets a third. That's 3 huge picks in this round. Pulls out the secondary, gets taken out. That might have been ill-advised. That might give Fisho guy, might give Noble an opening into this round. Hills, I don't think he's going to be able to deny it in time. He rushes up the white stairs. Can Fisho find the kill? That's the question. Swings wide, but Hills is out on top. It was very, very close there for LFO, but they managed to edge out in the end.
Defenders disabled the diffuser. Defenders win.
That's a big round win. I was going to say that I'm pretty sure Hills would have had the information there anyway, even if the diffuser had got planted, which it did, would have been able to still beat out Fisher Guy pretty quickly. Messy round, but big round win for LFO, and kind of answered our question that we posed at the beginning of this round, which was, is there too much of a reliance on baseman? And Mims just coming up huge towards the end. Nice triple kill to seal that round essentially for LFO. And at a minimum, they will take 3 into the next half. Can they make it 4? Is the question to be posed here in this final round of the half.
The one thing in that round, upon reflection, that was lacking a little bit for Noble and facilitated Mims to play in that corner is there was no real pressure from below that at least we got to see. It seemed to be quite a horizontal take, if you would. Had Milo and Dorms, the rest of the team really pushing from Trophy and Master Bedroom. Without that pressure below, without that displacement, LFO were able to sit on site quite comfortably. And yes, you could say it was a little bit lucky for Mims to find so many kills, but Noble really didn't help themselves in allowing Mims to sit there quite comfortably. Of course, this site, though, is going to throw up another curveball.
10 seconds left before
We
insertion.
are yet to see it played, I believe. We haven't. Kitchen dining, of course. Not sure what LFO will bring to the table. A lot of rotates, a lot of utility, a lot of shields as well, alongside the castle barricades that need to be cleared. So it's important that Noble are efficient with those grenades, with that soft breach, and they might run out quite quickly.
Yeah, this could be the sort of site where have a bit of a roam, but have that exit strategy in place, not that hard committed roam like we saw like from Nate in the opening round. Just trying to see where those
Attackers have located a bomb.
Vulcan shields were placed by Sogs. Yeah, so very much just being able to control a pretty large, significant area.
The bomb diffuser.
Not sure what just happened there.
I don't know where he got shot from. Wow, that... Unless it was Angmo spraying immediately through the breach made from the summer charge by Derpe? Potentially. Either way, though, it was a nice way to inflict a lot of damage, and Hills, in fact, will actually drop Prez completely off the board. Nico gets one back, though, finally. That is that Maestro taken down. So Noble have found themselves back into this one. Of course, sight is open, but the execute will be challenging.
Minute 35 remaining. Final round of the half. It's not necessarily a must-win for Noble, but they definitely wouldn't want to be in a 2-4 situation. Nico's been on point with those nades, whether it be the opposition or his own teammates. Feels like he'll just find a target regardless of what side you're on. Mims is low here too for LFO. Keep that in mind. So you've got essentially 2.5 players up for LFO right now. A lot of time remaining as well for Noble to just keep cleaning their way through. There is a Nico nade again. Sticks on to Nate for the second time in this match. You just feel like Nate can't just get anything to go his way here tonight. Hills will make his way in. Look for the retake, although just caught in the corridor by Derpe. Well, that's going to be us even at the half, Guz. 3-3. What are your thoughts, I guess, in how things are going to be looking in the second half as Derpe gets the final kill?
Oof. The one thing that sticks out to me, particularly considering just how efficient Nico has been, is the fact that Noble were allowed to play the sledge. We've seen it banned against them before, and yes, Nico has transitioned quite nicely over towards Buck when required, but those nades alone, in conjunction, of course, with the soft breach, played a big role in a couple of those rounds where Nico was just sitting below, cooking those nades to perfection and finding frags. So maybe that was a slight oversight from LFO. Again, it's not like the Maverick ban is terrible or anything. Maverick is, of course, a very key ban on this map, so just something to keep in mind. But that's all in the past now. We've switched halves. Noble on the defense. They're going to head us below first, and they're going to 6-pick onto a clash.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
See how the clash plays out for Nico. Obviously, basement's been strong here on Oregon so far. 2-0 in favor of the defending team. And it's not a surprise why Noble have gone here immediately. In saying that, though, the rounds that LFO won in basement, both rounds were at a 4v5 disadvantage, and it was just simply due to the fact that Noble didn't really know how to push into it at the last second. They literally would just walk into laundry, and then you just see 2-3 bodies drop all at once to LFO.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Typically on this side, we do see the attackers apply at least some pressure in towards blue, in towards that bunker out the back of B. Probably anticipating LFO to push it, and that's likely why Nico has 6-picked onto the clash. Can really disrupt that push and slow them down as they try and enter that secret position, which has been made rotatable by Fisho. Guys shield there as well to hold the fort. So far, the defense is suggesting a more traditional push. Whether or not LFO actually play into that is a whole nother question.
It's like clockwork. Something about basement and being at a 4v5 disadvantage doesn't spell disaster though for Noble. Losing President early though, it's never ideal. It's not a good. And they can get it back immediately thanks to Molosco into Angmo. And this is where the clash can definitely have its effectiveness, because it just shuts Mims out from those stairs altogether.
Yeah, big fan of that 6-pick here. Noble have looked really in sync in the first few play days, and you need that when you're playing a clash. It's not like pick clash, it's an easy win. You still need to be playing off one another and ensuring that the clash is in the most optimal position, which of course needs to be communicated by the team to Nico so he can play off that. So far, it's been played very well. LFO, despite getting that first pick, are quite clearly stalled out now and trying to still deal with this clash. Couple of picks come out, 3-on-3. Hard Breach still on the board with the Hibana. Not sure what the Thermite was able to achieve, but It's looking like LFO might just have to send it like Noble did on their attacks.
And if that does end up being the case, that's really not ideal. It didn't work out well, obviously, for Noble, and it's not going to work out well for LFO. And honestly, they're not even getting to that sort of position because it's down to just Hills and Nate as the last two. So they're not even going to be in that sequence where it comes down to that last second rush, which would have gone the way of Noble anyway. 30 seconds left, and Basement continues to prove that it's a fortress here on Oregon. Of course, Noble are going to have to do, I think, more work on the other sides. They will be able to, at least you would think, get one more on Basement after this. Obviously, it's not a given, but it's usually going to be expected. So that can get them to 5, which means you just got to get at least one round win on another site from here. Defended nicely. Hills, Nate, I mean, they're even struggling to just throw in a last-ditch effort. Nate does get the frag onto Molosca, but not even a chance that they're going to get this diffuser down to even stall the timeout. Noble take it.
That round could have been very close had there been half a second more for the Ash to get the plant down, because then it would have been effectively a one-on-one against the Clash, and Nico would have had to probably hit a 360 Beyblade spin trick shot onto the two of them. So a little bit fortunate there for Noble at the very, very end, but it was held well for the most part, and that Clash provided its services nicely. Heading back upstairs now, though. Kids' dorms and main hall. Similar lineup, albeit that the Clash is taken out for a Goyo. More utility brought to the board, and Fisher actually jumping onto a mute. Probably not a bad decision. Yana, of course, can be disrupted. That's Sogs playing that operator. And the drones that are being capitalized upon by LFO will be disrupted as well.
So 4-3 now. Noble take the lead. How long is the question, though? Head back over to dorms, which proved to have mixed success for LFO's defense. So far right now, though, Noble, I'm just going to say, haven't probably looked like the Noble that I thought we would see in this matchup. And I don't know if that's a credit to LFO or if it's just Noble not really having the best of games right now. To be fair, Mims is bowling with 10 frags. But just thought I would expect more, especially from the likes of Fisher Guy and Nico, to be honest.
Derpe preparing for an early repel potentially, but falls off that angle. Probably not expecting anything too crazy from LFO in the early round. They've been quite strong on the opening picks, and they'll be looking to try and continue that. Nothing worse than losing the first pick on attack on Oregon. Probably one of the hardest maps to find yourself back into it, just because of how structured it is and how reliant teams are at the moment on heavy utility. What was that?
Except for Basement.
True.
And at least from what I guess we've seen in this particular matchup, and this is the problem as well, it's not like we have a whole lot of previous Oregon matches to sort of look at this level in terms of statistics, expectations. Same can be said, of course, for the players, but you do expect they would be prepared, done their homework.
Bomb has been located.
It seems like they have.
Nate on the Habana using his X-Kairos to create an angle in towards Attic. So that means that President now will find themselves under quite a bit of pressure. A lot of angles to be mindful of, and President might actually fall back all the way in the end. This is a long, long angle as well from Nate. Is this being watched by Prez? Not quite. So Nate will stay alive. Needs to be very, very careful as President is holding that angle. Meanwhile as well, Angmo with the diffuser swinging around, trying to find an opening as Hills finds his. So that's Molosca taken off the board. He was roaming below, and that means that Noble might be susceptible to some verticality now.
Oh, double kill from Nate. Just starting to find a bit of rhythm here. Getting involved. C4 out from Nico. Unable to find the mark, and This has been a disaster round so far for Noble. Nico gets one. And unfortunately, he's traded back immediately by Mims. Depe is just the solo player remaining here, and this Dorms hold is just fallen to pieces. LFO are going to be able to tie things up 4-4. You just feel this could be potentially another overtime on the cards here, the way that Oregon is playing out right now between these two teams.
15 seconds remaining. Attackers are activating.
Not much Derpe can really do in this scenario. Taken down as he tries to rotate up the white stairs. 4-4. Now the scoreline. A confident attack there from LFO. Noble picked apart really, and Nate having a significant impact in that round. Great confidence booster for him, as you mentioned earlier. And we get to have another look at it. Two very clean picks. Not exactly sure what Fisher guy was doing swinging that, but either way, it was well played there from Nate, and yeah, very clean.
And yeah, look, confidence is probably what Nate needs. I think Nate probably backs himself in, but you just also want to get it on the scoreboard, and now he's been able to do that in that round. And not only that, but you've helped your team tie up the scoreline 4-4. This is very much a winnable game for LFO.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
We're going to head back over to Dorms. A second try now for Noble. So far in their defense, it's only the 2 rounds, but 1-1 does leave a bit to be desired. In saying that, though, I mean, LFO were the same. It took them until round... They took 3 attempts. Guys, 3 attempts for LFO to win on their defense in Dorms. So before they won it, it was 2 attacking round wins to Noble. So we're kind of seeing a very similar path right now that Noble are taking to what LFO took in the first half.
5 seconds to insertion.
Big question for me in this round is, will Noble dedicate again to that solo roam below? Will they stack it with more roamers, or will they forfeit it completely? It looks, upon initial inspection, that will just be Milo once again down below. But as I say, that Derpe is actually down there trying to cut off maybe a quick take of small Dorms, maybe even set up for a run out, but that would be very, very risky. Drone taken down. If LFO aren't aware, then Derpe might be able to linger around here for a little bit longer. Milo, in fact, is actually all the way downstairs in boiler room. Droned out. Again, I don't think Milo's key goal here is really to find picks. It's a bit like the Nate scenario. Just try and burn as much time as possible and force that rush late round.
Yeah, I agree.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
It's definitely something Noble need to do in this particular round. Derpe and Maloska both set up to be able to try and achieve that. Well, goodbye to Maloska and goodbye to Nico. Nate with that opening frag. Quick little run out from Derpe. Primed and successful onto Sogs. At least just brings it back very quickly. 5v3, very different to a 4v3. A minute 50 seconds remaining. A nice early start into this 9th round. LFO looking to retake the lead that they once had. Look about starting off the round with a bang. Hangmo, who went off incredible in the first round, has slowed down slightly, but fortunately this is a team effort right now from LFO. Nate as well, 4-2-6, considering at one point I think it was 1-1-6. Big improvement, and as we've kind of touched on, finding that confidence.
Only real concern now for LFO is their drone economy. Only 2 left on the board. Not sure what Slogs still had left up, but that could be a little bit concerning, especially when players like Derpe are still playing below. In fact, all the way below now. Only a minute to go, and Derpe is deciding now to rotate, I believe, all the way towards the rear stage. Now it will be the main stairs. Could be a very spicy engagement here with Hills. Not sure if either player is aware that the other is there.
Oh,
the
that's
timing.
Just timing in a nutshell. Look at the C4 as well for the quick 1-2 from Derpe. C4 was unsuccessful. Hangmo has been eliminated as well, and LFO, this game is, well, this round has just fallen away from them. Sometimes it's just that timing. If Hills keeps holding those stairs, I back Hills in to win that against Derpe. And we're looking at a different situation here with 23 seconds remaining. It's not to be, though, for LFO this round. Through the couch, though, President eliminated by Mims. And it's a 2 versus 2, 15 seconds remaining. Nate has the diffuser in hand, needs to come up big towards the end here. Mims will try and make something happen. Fisher Kai up close, Derpo on the other side. Noble come up with the round win to take the lead once again, 5-4.
Another great round from Noble in depleting time, and the likes of Derpe, who actually also finding kills on top of that, still able to get back to site. LFO were forced into going for frags, and as we've already seen tonight, that can prove to be extremely difficult and often unsuccessful. So good round there from Noble. Back downstairs we go. What are you awing about?
Well, I just feel like this is bad timing for LFO now that we head down to basement, which is a 100% success rate so far in this match for the defenders, which then sets match point for Noble. Is LFO just going to stumble at the last hurdle? That last round, you win that, and at the very least, then you can kind of give away basement, make it 5-5. That was a big round that was unsuccessful for LFO and Dorms, and now they're going to have to do something that hasn't been done, and that's what the was about.
I see.
I think that's all right.
That said, it was actually quite a close round for LFO. Last time they attacked this site, so I mean, if they can just go one step further, maybe they'll be able to take it.
10 seconds left.
Well, you say that, but yeah, basement hasn't sort of been following the rules, really, because I think for almost every round as well, the defenders have been down a player too, so in a 4v5 disadvantage, regardless if it's LFO or Noble. And I do get what you're saying towards that last round. Can stick that diffuser, force the 1v1 with the clash. It just creates those interesting moments, but it wasn't to be. You only got the allotted time on the clock that you've got, and you gotta get it done in that allotted time. But this is going to be a big round for LFO. You win this, you give yourself a huge chance to win it before OT. Otherwise, obviously, if Noble win this, they're either going to win or we go to overtime, so they can't lose at least in regular time. A Blackbeard too.
A little bit scary for Noble. The one thing is, if you are bringing Blackbeard, that's limited utility outside of course, the face shield. So in that sense, you could classify Blackbeard as a little bit of a selfish operator, but if you're able to enter those gunfights with Blackbeard and come out on top, especially with the assistance of that shield, then I mean, it really doesn't matter how you're getting them. So Nate will be quite critical in heading a push later in the round. Looks like for the meantime, he's just going to drone it out, and they should be able to establish quite quickly that Noble are playing quite passively on towards site, no roamers. So if half the round to go, LFO do have a big window to try and firstly work out what they're going to do, and then actually try and execute that.
Well, that's, yeah, and I agree with this. I think the Blackbeard's going to be intriguing to watch and see how it plays out, because these basement rounds have just come down to a fire fest towards the last 20-30 seconds, and it's just a tunnel fight, right? Who wins those 50-50 engagements, and that's where the shield is going to obviously play a big part. Pushing in through Freezer. Nate can be the guy that they can also send forward to clear certain parts out. Just didn't check that properly though. Dirtbay will punish him. So you've completely lost the Blackbeard as well. And Noble will have the advantage, 5-4 for the remainder of the round. I couldn't even finish that before Sogs got Molosca.
45 seconds left now. Diffuser is in the hands of Angmo, so he's pushing the main stairs, the rest of the team pushing behind. So this is an aggressive strat from LFO to try and pinch out Noble. They need to find their ones though. They need to win them, or they're going to be torn apart.
Well, there's one, there's two from Mims as we watch Sogs push in. The gas cannon, wow, 3 in 3 seconds essentially from LFO. They haven't been pushed apart at all. Fisher guy cannot win this one. Mims was so determined. Mims ended up basically with an ace, I think. But one of those was a team kill. Oh.
Sorry, we'll count it. It counts.
Count it. It's
still 5 kills.
Oh, it's a big win though for LFO.
Yeah, that was an impressive execute. I think the fact that they decided to push from so many angles, despite being so risky, and the fact that they could have been picked apart one by Noble. They committed to it. They found those picks in reverse, and Noble were just overwhelmed by so many angles, unable to hold them all, of course. And LFO in doing so, even out the scoreline as we go back down below. Mirror on the board on this occasion. So maybe Noble will try and be a little bit more aggressive in response.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Nate on the
Mirror's
barn
above
now as well.
Mirror's above?
Well, I'm thinking. What? Man. No, I'm not even going to say anything.
I think he's just shotgunning. I think he's just shotgunning the wall. I was getting a little bit excited, thinking maybe Noble has some sort of robe setup that would incorporate the mirror. I mean, there's other maps in the pool where we have seen that in the past, but maybe that's just a little bit too experimental. So Noble might just play them on site, so they can play a little bit more aggressive off those.
Well, I think where do you place this mirror is the question. Towards Freezer.
There's a few trains of thought. I think Freezer will probably be one of them, and maybe then another one in towards Blue Bunker. We sometimes even see mirrors on this wall, so we could see Nico place one down. The fact that he shotgunned it out first would indicate that maybe he would do that. Not sure why he shotgunned that out. Maybe I'm just...
Watch one over at Laundry? Oh, no, you don't even...
Something. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He's probably waiting to place them down a little bit later, just in case LFO snuck a drone in, but yeah, keen to see where he actually ends up putting them down.
And the way it's set up, I mean, I could easily see one towards Laundry, one towards Freezer. As you said, one over towards Blue. Looks like it's priming it for Laundry. I don't know. I'm going to stop guessing. What I'm going to say, though, is it's 5-5, and the winner of this round will get match point. I mean, no surprise to see Noble, of course, take us back down to basement.
Oh, he thought about it. Maybe he's also trying to trick the wall, but obviously that probably won't work. There's no ace on the board, so...
Well, at this point, with what, minute 50 seconds remaining, I think you might be right on that.
Stop teasing us, Nico. Place it down, please. Nah, there we go. Finally. Oh no, it got taken out immediately. Oh no! Wait, did he? No, he deliberately took it out. He punched it. Okay. I was gonna say how.
I was gonna say how. Yeah, I was gonna say how.
I got way too excited there. But it's interesting. We don't often see defenders actually punching out their own mirrors. So this is definitely a pre-planned strat from Noble. Maybe it's had some success in scrim. So we'll see how it plays out in an official.
I was going to ask if LFO even know if that's in place there. Right now, though, Nico has one right at the doorstep. I may as well confirm that one without having to peek it. C4 kill onto Nate after getting him injured. 3 versus 3 with a minute remaining. This is turning out to be a very different basement game to what we've seen in the earlier rounds. Mims with a 16-3-6 game so far. Definitely not going to count out LFO. Well, Mims is still around. Oh, inside of Freezer. Doesn't quite win that exchange, though. Moloska probably coming up a little bit better there in that fight. Moloska's been struggling just ever so much on Oregon at the moment. Only the 5 frags. Mims. You just feel like if LFO are going to win this round, Mims is going to find 2 or 3 of these kills.
Mims has to find this pick onto Moloska, but it's going to be so challenging. Both of these players are very mechanically skilled. Moloska gets aggressive, shuts him down. I think that's the round win now for Noble. They can't let it slip. Still a potential as they found themselves deep in towards site. Hills trades it out. Eventually, it's a second one onto Nico. Surely they could secure the plant, but Derpe on the flank finds one. He needs to spray down the other. Angmo still has plenty of time to work with, but there's also so much intel that Noble can play off.
Well, almost forced to stick this now, has no choice, can't do anything that's cheeky. Derpe just making a run for it, just sprays around. Doesn't really have too much information. 40 seconds, though, plenty of time. Angmo with a 1 versus 1 against Derpe. Winner of this gets the match point, and Derpe with a quick flick around the corner. Oh, you'd love to see that. The banter and Noble get match point. They do get the round win down in the basement, which is what they would have wanted in the last round. 6-5.
Bomb diffuser disabled by defenders. Bomb defusing attempt failed. Defenders win.
It was a great effort in the end from Angmo and Hills to try and head that entry, but with the 2 Evil Eyes still up from Derp, there was a wealth of information as to where Angmo was. They would have just been pinging it, calling it out, easy as you'd like it, and then it was really just up to Derp to hit the shot, which of course he did with the pre-fire. So they're on match point. Second floor will see an appearance once again. It's been defended once successfully by Noble, but also lost. So there is a very realistic chance that LFO can sneak this round and then head it to OT.
Just having a quick little look. So 5 rounds of Dorms, 3-2 in favor of Noble. That's combining both attack and defense, obviously. So match point on a site that Noble have just been slightly better at than LFO. And it doesn't mean everything though. How will this one play out? So far though, in Mimo for LFO, 16-4-7. Couldn't quite win the exchange with Molosca, and I think, you know, you coined that perfectly. If Mims had have been, whoever basically won that particular fight probably went on and won the round. In the end, Molosca just pushed out, got a bit aggressive, shut down Mims. To be fair though, Hills almost brought it back, but ultimately Noble won the round in basement. And it's brought us to this situation. Definitely hasn't been the Noble that we saw last week, that's for sure. That haven't quite been as clean. Probably the right word. Jeez, that was like a giant eyeball.
That was tripping me out a little bit. I mean, it would be hidden, so that's nice. Give us another look, Derp. No, no. Oh. It's a bit rude. Come on. Hey, oh, hey, oh. Gonna get a seizure watching this. Jesus. Either way, though, gathering some nice intel. Default's still up, able to spot the drones as well from LFO. So if Noble want to hunt those down, they can. And I think, in fact, Fisher actually swung wide there at the top of Armory to find one. Drone economy has been a little bit sketch for LFO. I mean, already they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drones. So that's half their drones already taken out with still 2 minutes to go. And that's going to be great for the likes of Molosca roaming below. They should be able to have a little bit more freedom and a little bit more peace of mind in trying to find these picks. And I mean, when you've got the likes of Mims hunting you down, you probably want a little bit of confidence.
And saying that though, Sogs is going to get a bit of information with this drone, you would think, as it does get eliminated. Nico, President both there. Angmo, Sogs pushing in through Attic. Minute 35. Getting closer towards needing to really push in and clear out that position of those two for Noble, which looks like all of that utility should be able to achieve that. You would hope so.
Ooh.
Getting so caught up in throwing out nades and flashes that Hills has just eliminated himself.
Not what LFO needed. Now at the man disadvantage, 4 on 5 for the execute phase of the round, and Molosca finds Mims. That's the biggest player so far from LFO taken down as well. Noble are edging closer and closer to closing this map out. It'll be a 7-5 if they win the round. That said, Angmo in a position in Dorms to maybe find a pick or two, but I can't help but feel that Noble are in a great position to refrag these picks out.
Definitely in a great position with the refrags and for the round as well, especially when Mims is off the board. Hills as well was almost a savior in the last round. Nate, Sogs, and Angmo are going to have to step up big time if they're going to send this one to OT. Molosca, again, at the last second, just turns away from Sogs. We've seen that a couple of times here on Oregon. And it just gets LFO slightly back into this one, because now has control of those stairs, has a frag, 20 seconds left. Diffuser in the hands of Nate, and basically has to now just push forward. If you go down, at least someone's going to push in behind you and grab that diffuser, checking that angle. The doorway, 10 seconds. He's not panicking. He's not rushing just yet. They're looking for frags before they get onto the site, but unfortunately for LFO, it's Noble who find the frags. Nico with a quick double at the end. There's the music. There's the win. 7-5 for Noble. They keep their win streak alive.
Another close match here in the Oceanic Nationals, but it is Noble just to edge it out. And I just want to say that Jaeger skin, the G2, of course, in the tier 1 of the new R6 share program, is pretty damn sexy. So maybe that was helping Milo, probably not, but he did get a couple of key picks in that last round and a couple of key picks overall. And in the end, it was a consistent performance from Noble and a consistent season so far as well, which was my biggest concern for them in OCN. But so far, they're proving me wrong.
Yeah, look, I thought it was actually a really entertaining game from both teams. First time that we've seen Oregon this entire season for Oceanic Nationals. Obviously, the day, so not too surprising that we haven't seen it just yet until now, which I think it definitely lived up to the hype. Certainly fun. Basement obviously was a bit of a fortress. Dorms just felt like that 50-50 could go either way sort of site, as I certainly enjoyed it, and I thought LFO definitely put up a better fight than I expected against Noble. In saying that, I didn't think Noble were really at their ultimate best there. Still came away with the win, and it says a lot about them then.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult. It's difficult, I think, on Oregon to be critical of a team just because we haven't seen the map in action at all in OCN outside of course, this matchup. Yes, we can compare it to the other regions which have been playing Oregon for quite a while now, but the playstyle obviously varies and it's a little bit difficult to make that like-for-like comparison. So for the most part, Noble, they played well, they closed it out, they didn't falter at that final hurdle, which we have seen them do historically. So it's really nice, I think, for them to just be able to close it out without heading to OT.
Well, we got our first interview here from this third match of the night. The ever amazing Enigma, we'll just go with that one. Unfortunately, mate, just fell short of the mark in this one, but I gotta say, you guys looked a hell of a lot better here for Playday 3. And one thing that I've sort of been sprouting around is that you've kind of got rid of what is essentially the sort of 3 big dogs now, and you're gonna have a bit of an easier run home. Do you feel the same way for you guys heading to the back end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, like, just looking at it, just even Kanga Rhythm versus Wildcard, you know? I mean, everybody's a contest. We shouldn't really be, like, no team should be looking at any team thinking that, you know, it's going to be an easy run towards the end. But, you know, there's a massive improvement for my team from, you know, Friday last week up against Knights to today. So I'm actually quite happy with how far we've come. And, you know, there was a very strong chance of us closing it out tonight. We just let a couple of things slip by, and it's just the way it is.
Again, tonight, big performance from Mims in particular. How are you facilitating him playing quite well? Because there have been a couple of times this season where he hasn't been at his best. So what changed tonight? How are you allowing him to sort of play the way that he wants to?
We swapped his roles. That's simple. You know, after our game on Friday, we had a massive chat on Saturday about what we needed to do. You know, I kind of pulled players aside and had a chat with them about what their expectations were, and you know, we swapped around the roster, and it, as you can see from tonight, it actually started to work out better for our favor. So it was just a little minor tweak, but nothing too, you know, crazy.
Without sort of diving too deep into it, just thoughts on Oregon, I guess, a little bit, because it's the first time we've seen it played out here for Oceanic Nationals. Was that part of the strategy in this matchup against Noble by any chance?
Yeah, that's the kind of big shame about today. You know, we kind of looked it down to be, we did our kind of like predicted map bans, and it worked what we were looking for. We had a feeling what they would ban against us. We had a feeling they'd take us to Oregon, so we were pretty G'd up about it. And you know, watching from a bird's eye view, again, like, we had such a strong chance to be able to win it. We just weren't closing it out, you know, and on the other hand, they were. So it was just more about the fact that, you know, we had set strats, we had things that we were going to do. We delved away from them and we got punished for that. But, you know, it's a good learning curve. Every single loss, whether it's a round or you know, a series, it's a good learning curve for the team. We'll look back on it to be able to be improved on Friday.
Certainly agree with that, although I will say I don't know if you guys will get Oregon again, considering how well you performed on it. Wish you best of luck on Friday and for the rest of the season, mate.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. See you guys later.
Ciao.
Ciao. Always the fancy dress man himself. You gotta love having Enigma on the broadcast. But look, as you said, goals were met. Happy with that. Ultimately, though, you're still looking for wins, and that's exactly where LFO are right now. Winless, looking for wins. And as I said, though, the back end of the season. Now I know Enigma, obviously, he has to say it right, that everyone can beat everyone, and we kind of saw that with Rhythm Wildcard. Well, they didn't get the win. We're close to doing so. They definitely have an easier run now over the next 4 play days.
100%. Friday night, they'll be taking on Ferox. Potential. Actually, sorry, they're taking on Akami, mind you. So Akami at the moment, they're quite weakened. So if there's any opportunity really to strike against them, it's Friday night. And then moving on from that, they actually have Rhythm the Playday after. So there's a real possibility they could go 2 from 2 in the next 2 matches. And then realistically, they only need to win maybe 1 or 2 more to try and avoid relegation. So as long as what Enigma says is true and they are actually learning, then they can come back in this is the last half of the season, and they should be able to pick up some maps.
Well, I don't think Enigma would be telling any fibs. Let's get to our second interview from this match, of course, from the winners POV. Nico, congratulations, big win. You guys still haven't felt defeat in Oceanic Nationals. First question here, I just wanted to ask, the same question I sort of posed as well to Enigma, was surrounding Oregon. First time that we've seen it here for Oceanic Nationals. Was there any thought in your mind that you'd be happy to go to that map at any point, or in this particular matchup against LFO?
Yeah, look, it's that being like the first sort of the bar set for Oregon for us. Like you practice it so much, but you can only play you can only learn from officials so much at the same time. So it was completely different to, you know, scrimming, learning. Definitely took us a bit longer to get into the swing of things, but I think we got our groove going a bit better.
Now, on a personal note, this was actually the first official of the season where Sledge made it through the ban phase, and you were able to rip and tear a little bit with those grenades. Give us a little bit of an insight, maybe to the viewers at home. How are you being able to facilitate these plays? Because obviously it's not as simple as just nading random spots. Maybe give us a bit of a breakdown as to how you're actually achieving these frags.
Well, I mean, like I've brought up in the past, it's always about getting those safe picks. Early picks are massive, especially in Oregon. With a lot of extension holds and all sorts of stuff. So info gathering from the teammates was perfect, I would say. It's just a matter of whether I can get the perfect nade, or, I mean, the servers didn't really give me a good time with throwing them, but made it work. So.
Last one before I let you go, mate. This is more of a personal one. I've been going around on the reload along with the broadcast here saying that you guys will not lose a map for the rest of the regular season. Can you give me some confidence that that's not going to happen?
I said in the first interview, we're not looking to drop a map. I said it from the get-go. We don't plan to really, you know, take a bit of a misdirection, but the confidence is fully here, so we're ready to go.
Well, I'm sure you'll have taken a lot out of tonight. LFO obviously still a really good roster, gave you a good fight on a map that you haven't played too much on, so you should be pretty happy with that performance. Best of luck on Friday, and hopefully you guys can continue this awesome streak.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Well, I've got assurances now from Nico himself that they're not going to drop a map. I feel better. I can sleep. Whew. And that wasn't a close game, to be fair. I mean, look, they were always going to win that, weren't they, guys?
Oh, gee whiz. Look, I mean, we all predicted Noble to win. And in the end, it was... I think the really difficult thing is to sit here and say what is and what isn't a comfortable win in the BO1 format, because it felt like, for the most part, Noble were pretty comfortable on that map, right? But then you look at the scoreline, it was 7-5, so I'm not completely convinced. But it was also the first time they've played it in an official as well, so... Look, they get the dub on the board, and that's a very, very nice streak that will continue for them.
Definitely was better from LFO and potentially gave Noble a bit of a spook there on Oregon. We're going to go to the break. When we come back, we've got one final match still to play. Pittsburgh Knights versus Ferox.